Hey everybody, so get back into the XR6 again. We've now got it up on the hoist, and one of the issues that we had when this drove is it had a clunk when it changed gears, and it turns out that the diff is not attached real well anymore. So this rear bush, as you can see, is all blown out, corresponding same bush here on there on the other side is not as good. So we're going to drop the whole rear cradle out, and while it's out we'll pull out all these lower control arms. We'll check all those bushes as well, probably replace the sway bar bushes just for the fun of it, link arms, anything like that that we think needs to get done. Get it all done, get it dismantled, cleaned up, and while it's out we're going to do some rust proofing, check everything in under there as well, and then hopefully get back in the car. I won't have too many dramas. I think it's pretty easy to get out. It's just there's a bolt either side here and one down the front, and this arm comes out. Disconnect the handbrake, disconnect the tail shaft, and then it should just pop straight out. So we'll obviously drop the hoist down, get it on the ground, and then lower it out from there. So we'll get out from there. So yeah, so we'll start and play with that. Back cradle out of the car. It wasn't too much of a nightmare to get it out, and it's not too bad an neck. I mean, it's dirty, and we'll clean it up and give it a bit of a paint. As we can see, this back mount is shot, and the front mounts, this side's all buggered out, that side's probably much the same. You know, this seal inside the diff here looks like it's going, so when we do this, we'll replace the seals in the diff. We'll do those mounts. We're going to have a look at these upper arms as well. Check all these bushes in here on both sides. We're pretty much going to strip the whole thing out, I think, is probably our best bet. Just to pull the entire thing down. We got it out of the car. It obviously hasn't been pulled out for a very long time, if ever. We'll strip it down. We're going to check everything, clean it all up. Got it out. Might as well do it rather than put it back in the car and realise that something else is shot. So we'll start stripping that down, get the parts in, put it back together and shove it back in the car, so it shouldn't be too bad of an ordeal. I think the only thing we might have a bit of trouble with is just making sure that we put everything back in the right way, but I don't think we'll have any dramas with that. But as we say, I mean, everything looks pretty good. These boots are good, and we'll check all that. We do need new shocks for sure. They are absolutely had their day. Probably not too bad, but while we're going, we'll just do it anyway. We'll machine out those rotors, clean them up at least, check the pads, everything else as we're going. At the same time, we're going to pull the front end off, tie rod to do there, check those brakes and rotors there, anything else in there that's an issue. So probably just do a quick pull down on that, have it a look over, and if there's anything else that we need, we'll grab it at the same time. So let's get to pulling this apart. So we've got the rear cradle pulled apart pretty much to where we're going to strip out the rest of the control arms and check every bush. I don't think we're going to need to replace them all, but we'll just change out the ones that we actually genuinely need to do. Our diff center we will drain everything out of and clean it out, make sure I don't think it's been done for a while, so we'll do that. Check all our bushes in our hubs as well. Definitely the bushes in the upper control arm definitely need to be done, so they'll definitely get done, but we will do everything that we think needs to be done. Anything that looks good can always be done later on if it fails anyway, because they're in a much easier position being lower down at the bottom of the car. So we got this sorted out, get this thing rest of the way pulled apart, and then put it all back together.